Today's topic is query letters. And if you have 5 minutes, I've got 5 tips to help you write a killer one. Now, any writer who is looking for a publisher or an agent is going to have to learn to write a query letter. There are also going to be times when you might use a query letter for other reasons, but I'm specifically going to focus today on writing that letter to an agent or a potential publisher to ask them if they're interested in acquiring your work. That's the purpose. So I want to give you a very specific definition of a query letter, which will help you to understand the components and the tips that I'm going to suggest to you. A query letter is a formal letter sent by a writer to literary agents, publishers, or editors to propose their book or other writing projects. It's as simple as that. Writing one, however, can be slightly more challenging. A well-crafted query letter is crucial because it is the first impression that an editor or an agent or a publisher is going to have of you as an author and also of your work. And you only get one chance to make a first impression, and it's something worth remembering. So I have 5 tips to help you write that killer query letter. Tip number 1, personalize your letter. Don't ever write a letter to whom it may concern. These days, when you're doing your research for editors, agents, publications, whether it's a magazine, for example, that you want to propose an article to, or you're trying to acquire an agent, you can usually find specific information online and you get the name of the person that you're writing to. Use that person's name. Personalizing your letter also involves mentioning why you chose to reach out to that particular individual. You can reference their previous work or the things that they've said on their bio online that suggest that they're interested in the kind of work that you're proposing. That's how you personalize a letter. But be careful these days about using Mr., Mrs., Ms., all of those particular salutations, because if you don't know what it is, you might get yourself into trouble. So be careful about that in trying to personalize it and yet not make any assumptions about the individual to whom you're writing. Tip number 2, craft a compelling hook. Just like when you were trying to write the beginning of your article or your book, you had to hook the reader. You're going to have to do the same thing here. Don't begin by telling the person that you're writing to all about yourself. That is not a hook. Get right to the point. Could be a brief, intriguing summary of your manuscript. It could be a startling fact that emanates from the material that you're proposing, or just a powerful statement. What you want to do is try to pique the reader's interest in reading further in this query. Tip number 3, provide a clear synopsis. It's very important that the person reading this, the agent or the editor, gets a clear idea of what the work is all about. You want to have main plot points, key characters, central conflict. All of those need to be clear and brief. It's also important that as you write the synopsis, that the tone that you use in writing that synopsis will reflect the tone and style of the writing in the book or the material that you're proposing. You want to aim to give a taste of the story without giving everything away. You want them to want to read more. And some people say that if you have had your manuscript professionally edited, that you can go ahead and mention it here as well, that editors and agents like that. This is something new these days. This is not something from the early part of my career that was that anyone did, because everyone tried to have the best writing possible and learned their craft before they would send anything to an editor or an agent. But nevertheless, if you've had it professionally edited, mention it. Tip number 4, highlight your credentials and your online platform. Give them some background, paragraph, no more than a paragraph, about your writing credentials, your experience that is relevant to this particular book. If it's not relevant to what you're proposing, don't bother mentioning it to them. They don't care. Also mention your online presence if it is significant. If you have a blog with thousands of followers and people who read your work on a regular basis, this is the place to put it in. If you have thousands of Instagram followers, this is a place to mention that. Briefly, don't overdo it. Tip number 5, carefully adhere to the submission guidelines provided by the agent or publisher. I can't stress this enough, that agents and publishers and editors get all kinds of stuff every month, and they do not like it when you don't follow their instructions to the letter. For example, if an agent says, send the query in the body of an email, send the whole thing, whatever they've asked for, in the body of an email. If they say put it in an attachment, then put it in an attachment. If they say fill out this form online as opposed to sending an email, fill out the form and put your query in the form. Don't do anything that they have not asked you to do, and do exactly as they have asked you. Keep it short and don't oversell. So, 1 page is long enough. And the second thing about overselling is don't ever say this is going to be a bestseller or this is going to be the best book in its category, because that remains to be seen. And if you feel that way, you are probably 100% wrong anyway. And the agent is going to say this person doesn't have a realistic sense of what it is to publish a book today. So don't tell them it's going to be a bestseller, because A, it probably won't be, and B, it's going to turn them off. So if you follow a few basic steps in writing a really killer query letter, you're going to present your material and yourself in the best light. Good luck. Talk to you soon. Subscribe to Write, Fix, Repeat, and maybe I can help you improve your writing knowledge and skills. 5 tips at a time.